How are you doing today, folks? Doing good? Great?
Yeah!
No, this is dope. I always like coming out to Rockford for stuff. I'm from Rock Island, Illinois, so I literally, as Paul said, I sub-teach. I used to be a teacher. For real, I still teach just for my own thing, but I sub-teach, and I made the mistake of picking kindergarten for the last 2 days. I like them, but it's a lot of you gotta chase kids down, and they're just they're ADHD 24/7. You can tell them put a coat on, and within a millisecond of them you saying that they're already in 50 different places in their head. So yeah, it's a lot, but it's cool to kind of spend this time with y'all, especially on National Poetry Month. Did y'all know? Raise your hand if you knew this is National Poetry Month. Okay, this is cool. Y'all are cultured. That's cool. Cool. I like that. I like that. For those of y'all that don't know, now you know it's National Poetry Month, so it's kind of a commemoration to the poetic arts. Whether you write page poetry, short poems, prose, songs or poems too. You know, it's kind of just a celebration of art. So I'm glad to kind of be a part of this celebration. With that said, I'm gonna kind of share my art in the way I show my art. Can I do that with y'all? Yeah. Cool. I'm a really I've realized as of lately, I've been writing poetry since I was 11. I'm 33 now, but I've been doing I'm grateful to say I've been doing poetry as a career, when it comes to teaching poetry and performing for 10 years. But I've just recently understood, as a writer, I like writing about concepts. I'm a very complex writer where if you're not a writer, some things will kind of go over your head, but I've learned to kind of keep it on a level where we're all kind of connected. But if I share those pieces and you don't know what's being said, if it sounds cool, just snap your fingers and just act like you know what was said and stuff. But we're just gonna jump into it. I got a bunch of poems in my head, so I didn't literally for this show. I was I'm not gonna think of a set. I'm just gonna pick whatever poem comes to my brain, and we're just gonna do that. So we got a lot in the library. So. To the woman in Des Moines who told me she don't fuck with hip-hop. I know that because I'm sorry, my bad. I just thought about it. Don't act like rap ain't raised you. Like you wasn't influenced by these streets. Up at 6 in the morning, remotely controlled by hard hip-hop beats with show parents deemed degenerate. Rehearsed rhymes riddled with rhetoric that make Reagan roll around casket. I mean, boys in the hood, boys who are good trade the suspenders for street fashion. I'm talking FUBU, forces. Face flags and fitted caps. They dress part and practice pen and pad, perfecting poetry through spitting raps. Real talk. We learn more from lunchtime table ciphers than we did from 5th period English. And consider Nas more distinguished than poets whose prose put us to sleep. Yeah, I mean Shakespeare was sharp, but you gotta admit, Scarface, he pierced deep. Don't act like rap ain't raised you. Like you wasn't talking to sipping gin and juice. Because Snoop Dogg made it sound smooth. The homie Dre's chronics they caught in head, anchoring down eyes induced by highs. I mean music drugged, and tugged you out of sneakers from the shoes of hustlers you never met. Tongue speaking a foreign language, saying slang you never said. Walking with a swagger seen as silly to people not privy to Tupac and Biggie. Residents who never left rural regions, where they consider rap noise that was written by demons, but your ears heard nothing but echoes of angels. Beings whose lungs sung the holiest of hymns from Doug's mansion. Black bodies whose souls and spirits poured out so much passion. Don't act like rap ain't raised you. I should have asked this, Paul. Is it okay if I cuss in here? I work with kids. I'm subconscious.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay. They did it first. Okay. Don't act like rap. I gotta ask sometimes. I gotta ask. Okay. Back to the normal broadcast. Don't act like rap ain't raised you. Like you was never tempted to chant. In the words of NWA. Fuck the police. Though the town sheriff left Rodingo Street. Same one that drove you back home last week after catching you throwing tags on City Hall. I mean, there were 2 of y'all, but you wanted to take the fall for Jared, because you're conscious of curses bearing, knowing black boys get bruised and beat by boys in blue. And all your homies held darker hues. Went to different schools, abide by different rules. I mean, hip-hop gave you lens, though you had different views. As you broke down Buell Blair narratives of NWA. Prolific poets plagued by crack epidemic. Ghetto grafts took pain and penned poetry on pad. Laid down lines written in rage on wax, telling of tension between cops and blacks. Lifting America's flag from over our faults. Making sense of earthquakes that left homes broken. Tremors that skeptics still scrutinize because their solid foundations never felt flimsy. But those who sat with vibrations of verses and understood the world they were birthing. A world We're hearing gunshots, ringing, we're walking home, ain't break no alarm. A world where single parents will break down and cook, crack, and put under pressure about a few blocks down from the units, so kids wouldn't copy what mom or dad did to keep proof up. Yeah, you may have grown out of touch with tales. You may even shake your head every time you hear 21 Savage. Chief Keef, hell. You may even get on your feelings when you see Kendrick Lamar in the Super Bowl stadium, but don't act like rap ain't raised you. Thank you.
Oh, yeah. Hey, Mister Aubs.
Oh, I can't cuss. I'm sorry, man. I mean, I just.
No, my question is, do you have merch?
Oh yes, okay. I thought, man, I got scared for a second. I thought I was in trouble. I was gonna get fined or something. Okay, yeah, no, yeah. So definitely, thank you for that, Paul. Thank you. I definitely have merch in the back. Like I said, like I do poetry as a career, as a thing. So like I learned like as doing it as a career, you gotta have stuff for people. You know, I can give you my poems and all that, but it's good to like have, you know, shirts, hoodies, and all that. And there's actually a hoodie back there. It has a lion on it. And that one's special because that is actually a logo for the nonprofit that I run called Young Lions Roar, where I've done it for 3 years now, where I teach poetry workshops, professional developments to like schools, professionals on how to use poetry for like, oh yeah, I can clap for that and all that. But I've been doing it for 3 years, and like we've served, I think the last 3 years, over 1,000 students. Over 10 different school districts and stuff like that. But the hoodies back then, the shirts, 100% of those proceeds just go towards our organization for just like purchasing gas, you know, buying little things for our students, getting more hoodies and shirts for our students and all that, you know, because those little things kind of like inspire kids to like do poetry. I was actually talking to two of my students yesterday. I'm at a program that I mentor at, and I gave them hoodies, and I told them like, hey, this is a contract, like, if I give you these hoodies, you guys gotta come here once a month, do some poems, and every other month you gotta read something. So it's just little things like that that kind of help kids like all the more kind of get into it. So yeah, just message with me back there. We can talk and all that, but you want to check the merch is back there. A lot of it is actually too commemorated to my my next chapbook I'm publishing that's coming out this Friday. It's my 4th poetry book. It's a special book, so a lot of that merch is kind of like in commemoration of that. But yeah. Let's do another poem. Let's do another one. Now that we kind of broke the ice with me being able to do explicitives, you know, I'm a school teacher, so I always got to think about them things. Like, dang, I can't be cussing around kids. You know, I'm like, I don't care, but I know people care. So, but we're gonna push it a little bit more, because I got this poem, Paul, and it's about a toxic relationship I was in. You know, I'm like, and like I'm still in it. I don't think it's toxic. But like, people tell me it's toxic. You might not think it's complicated. It's toxic. Like, I just hear from, but I'm like, I just love being in this relationship. You know? And you know, it's just one. You know, poetry is like one of the places where you just talk about the relationship. So we just go get into it.
Woo! Yeah.
My weed's so loud you can hear it before she walks through the door. I told you it's not toxic, right? Can catch wind of her when she talks with the flow. I mean, when she's in the room, Paul, I'm admit, I can hear words she's saying when she's talking. I mean, one night she got so loud, brother, the landlord almost kicked us out of the apartment. I mean, yeah, she's the original gaslighter, hiding her wrongs so she be knowing her sins. But god dang, I love when she be throwing her fits, with hands that hotbox anyone mocking her mitts. I mean, when she throws hooks, there's no blocking her fists. So I take a hit cause my weed is a fighter, keeping me laced when I'm up against rope. I mean, when I get swung on by life, she's the only way that I cope. She's a therapist that knows my problems but doesn't expect me to solve them. Like this one time I opened up about a frustration when I was cut off a conversation where I didn't feel heard, where expressing my emotions felt like wasting my words. She was there to hear every thought my mind needed to burn, as her smoky voice numbed my nervous system, as I shrink into couch, her high some way bringing me low. You see, she's much more than a trope. She's a safe place of hope. Though my family, no society, tries to convince me that she's as dangerous now as she was when Ricky was calling her dope. You see, when we're out and about, people give us a side eye and get to whispering rumors saying that she provoked murder scenes, canines and handcuffs, snitched on my brother whose home got raided, stamped with the felony before being sent to jail, where you went from sitting inside the cell to sitting inside a cell, while private prisons profit on vice victims in it. This broad gets out scotch-free. What? I guess my weed was always a little more privileged. I mean, she wasn't under fire when my uncle was facing heat. That's why she was talking big all the way from under receipt. He's like to this day for pimping her in the street, but if she's the meal ticket, how else was he supposed to eat? I mean, she puts food on table as supplier. Be black market medicine for street pharmacy buyer. I mean, Illinois picked a game, but dispensaries offered back to billboard higher, while I was ready to criminalize me soon as street cross tires. I mean, I'll admit, y'all, I still ride with her. I drive with caution as she ziplocked like hostages in glove compartment. But she don't ever feel kidnapped, because she knows without her, I'm held captive to my overthinking. Tossed at sea with no arms or legs, so I go under sinking. When the waves of the pressure come crashing down, she is my siren song. One worth of risking squad cars pull me over with sirens on. And yeah, I tell y'all she's worth it. That don't mean that she's perfect. Like her fumes don't got a way of making me choke, but I can't blame her of her wrongs if I'm the one blowing smoke. Lying to my family when they ask me why I smell like strong flowers that bloom. As she unapologetically lets herself be known regardless of who's in the room. Yeah, she's gonna be loud. Obnoxious noses whose whiff they catch. But she teaches me to be honest. Sparks inspiration to be myself, so dang. I'd say we'd be the perfect match. Thank you. Man, okay, cool. We jumped into the risky stuff, so I know we cool and all that. So can I switch some more poems? I done swore poems and talked about Mary. Actually, I got like a second version of that poem too, so I'm gonna memorize it for next time I come here. So yeah, we're gonna do that because I come next week, right?
Yeah, next Wednesday.
Next Wednesday, yes, I'll be here and all that. So yeah, I'll have some new poems for that one. But I mean, all these poems are new if we're just kind of like making acquaintance and all that. But we're gonna switch gears to some that last poem. That was kind of like in a collection of a book. Like I said, that about publishing this next Friday. But I'm going to do a couple poems from the book. One of the poems I'm going to do, I rarely do it because it's one of those things where like poetry, it's like a place of like, obviously you're going to hear and you're going to write and share like vulnerable stuff. But it's like hard when you talk about, especially like when you're like a said man, even more specifically like a said black male, it's kind of hard talking about like vulnerability. You know, when it's hard to talk about like sadness or being sad because like it's like society expects to anger you, but the sad you, they don't know what to do with it, you know. So, but it's all the reason why I kind of like do this poem now, as of just kind of realizing that. But this poem is kind of like in my next book, and it's a special one for sure. And I have merch kind of like commemorate this to this piece too, specifically because it's so special because of what it kind of represented the life that I needed and stuff. So. Yeah, we got to the funny stuff. We're gonna get to kind of like the melancholic, and we're gonna get to some fun stuff too again. But yeah, we're gonna do this piece real quick. The realest scars are the ones I tell myself don't exist. That I feel but never show. That I pen in poems of bravery, but not enough courage to convert to conversation. You see, my church never mentioned depression. I always skipped that Bible verse reading, Jesus wept. That language was foreign, spoken by sinners cursed with a demonic fate. They'd rather me speak in tongues and voice my pain, would rather me trust their process and fast, be prayers, and wait. Though my brother never had his answer, no matter how many times he called, would sit silently in the chapel whose choir sang in keys holding no harmony, was told that God would accept what he brought to altar, and so he faltered. Took leap of faith into a river, submerged himself in a peculiar baptism where he dove deep into the Mississippi and never came up. You remember as kids when our parents asked us, if someone told you to jump off a bridge, would you do it? Not aware that when they preach to us to go out to the world and make ourselves disciples, still weep, they command us to carry heavy emotions like a millstone roped around our neck and pray Jesus comes to our rescue. Trust the prophet who walks on water will watch me drown like Peter, hoping to be saved, fearing my spirit being empty from caskets, where I am Sunday service suit and tied, same way I got crucified when a woman told me that as a grown man, I got no reason to cry. Same when my spirit felt unkept the last time I cried in front of a lover. Exposed tears like bare bodies to her harsh winters, only to be left cold to her contempt, and I don't want to freeze anymore. I don't want to hold back scars. I don't want to brave storms, if that means carrying blizzards in my chest, the same way my brother carried a cold heart and a warm smile. Don't want to hold back sobs the same way I restrained "I love you" from my brother's ears. Don't want to become walking coffin of many black men whose hearts have turned graveyards, with blank-faced tombstones, burying ashes of a self they long cremated the moment they were told to wipe tears from their eyes as if they never existed. I want to walk with these scars and be unashamed of how they bleed. I want to tell my brothers that holding in emotions is no way to be freed. And I want students to understand that the realest emotions, the realest version of yourself that you can show yourself is the one that you tell yourself exists. Thank you.
Yeah. Oh, man.
So when I was a kid, I desired to be a superhero. I mean, Saturday mornings I'd wake up in front of the television inspired by how they saved the day. At school I'd sketch pictures of them, dressed up in their likeness for Halloween, wearing their capes so valiantly with bulletproof confidence. Strong-hearted on days that bullies turned crooks, attempting to steal chest by reminding me that Superman wasn't black. And when we kicked off our playground game of make-believe, I'd raise my hands quicker than I did in classrooms when asked, "All right, guys, all right, who wants to be Spider-Man? Batman? God, let's mix it up. Who wants to be Venom? Mr. Freeze, the villain, to which hands dropped like third quarter grades. Hot-headed boys raising temper tantrums would pick to be the one that gets hated, killed, convicted. Because you see, as boys, we were always told to be good guys, but we're never taught how to handle life when we have played the role of the villain. So the first time I did dirt, I felt like Bullseye, caught between crossfire of sorrow and shame. A pure soul painted as Punisher with just enough good in heart that you don't notice the skeletons my ribcage carries. Times when fires fumed under surface, turning me screaming kettle in a house where there's no one there to pick me up before losing my head. Morals marching off a cliff towards Suicide Squad, where I become a Joker who can look at eyes of Harley Quinn with a glare riddled with question marks, with a tongue turned cake with holes from lies told, leaving scars like open wounds to a therapist turned surgeon who scrambles through tools to treat a heart that's been ripped open too many times by hands possessed by psychosis. From fingers turning from Jekyll to Hyde, a drop of dime like it's no longer hard to be two-faced. Accepting my role as the one who's hated, unworthy of forgiveness, convicted of crucifixion, convicted of crookedness, worthy of crucifixion, where I'm crushed under God's righteous fist, never to be thought about. Because I was told as a kid, when villains cease to exist, they're never to be missed. But my heroes never told me that one day I'd break character, become broken glass with parts so shattered that I question and struggle to believe that God could ever piece me back together. Because how can hands that learn how to kill learn how to heal once again? How can I trust that my tongue ain't turned cape with the holes from lies told? How can I trust myself in the best moments, not believing that I am the worst? You see, I ask because ever since I was a kid, I desired to be a superhero. I even thought I was a superhero. But it turns out I have much more in common with the villain. Thank you. I got a few more pieces for y'all and all that. I appreciate y'all for kind of rocking with me and all that. Actually, you know what I love about things like this, like being a feature and all that? So like, I'm so used to like, as of lately, like I've been kind of like in the realm of like slam poetry, where like it's very competitive, very kind of like, you got to be on 10 and all that. But when it comes to features, like, it's a little more relaxed. I can read poems, I can share poems and all that. So, with that said, I want to, it's poetry month. Can I share a new one with y'all? Like, it's like brand new. Like, I haven't really even, it's like a first draft. So, it's probably not going to sound the same. So you guys hear it in this like raw material. But I wrote this the other day when kind of reminiscing. I live in Rock Island, and I live like 8 minutes or so away from my parents, and I've kind of like, I was living with them till months ago and all that, but I had this thing where, this routine where I'd always wake up at like 5:30 to drop my dad off at work because he works factory jobs and all that. And I used to hate that. I still do hate it. I ain't gonna lie. I used to like waking up at 5:30 a.m. and I technically don't gotta be up to like 9 a.m. on my own accord. Like it's exhausting, but at the same time, I've learned to kind of like enjoy things about it. So I wrote this poem the other day about that. Because like I think more like in poetry, we hear so much like, you know, poetry's kind of like the breeding home, rightfully so, or not in the breeding home, the place where like people allow their traumas to be heard. And like a lot of people have like parent trauma. You know, a lot of people don't have a good relationship with their parents. And like I'm grateful to say that I have a good relationship with my parents. Like not saying they're perfect. They're definitely not perfect. But I don't think like perfection means you can't have a perfect relationship with them. So this one I kind of wrote and kind of thinking about my having to wake up at 5:30. When I lived with my parents, I'd wake up at 5:30 a.m. to drop my dad off at work. And I ain't gonna lie, y'all, I used to hate that shit. I'd be annoyed every time he'd open up my bedroom door in the loudest way with the nerve to ask if I'm awake. My feet would drag in contempt when thinking about how he refuses to get a license because he knows that I will never say no. I would get heated when he'd tell me to hurry up, as if my body is still trying to figure out why the fuck I am up this early on the day I don't got work. And all the more, I would be so damn irritated when he'd have small talk on the way to work at 6:30 a.m. He'd ask things like, so what are your plans for the day? What time do you go to work? Oh, you work from home today. So that means you got nothing to do, right? Waiting for the day to move out where I can wake up in my bedroom after sun has poked through my window. Now, presently in that reality, living 5 minutes away, I still wake up at 5:30 a.m. to pick up my dad for work. Whether running off 4 hours of sleep, groggy, only halfway hungover, realizing that one day he won't be here. I remember one morning my dad out of nowhere said, well, Kendall, my time is coming soon. To which my heart sank as if he was prophesying something that would happen next week, tomorrow, next hour while he's at work where his heart held together by pacemaker finds his hands too weak to keep turning the wheel. A month before that, he asked me if I'd be joint owner of his checking account just in case something happens to him. And ever since then, I can't look at his bank in the eyes when I drop by it. You see, my dad has always been a book that doesn't know his name. Open, but can't describe to you foreshadowing that follows his chapters because he's always kept himself in the dark. And I think that's why he chose third shift, coming home and sleep during the day, or scrub windows at churches, shovel snow for neighbors, work part-time from 5 to 9, making sure that we're never without. My dad once said, long as I got money for y'all, protection for y'all, security for y'all, I can rest easy. But he don't know there ain't $1 in this world, nor gas money loan that I will always get back to you 2 to 3 days later, nor help with rent that you will never ask about that can ever cover the price of not knowing who you are before epitaphs and obituaries. So tomorrow, when I wake up, when I leave here to go home and wake up at 5:30 a.m., I ain't gonna lie, I'll be tired, annoyed as fuck, irritated as shit, but I will always pick you up.